launch a counter-offensive. The Imperials have control of the battlefield.
The fate has been defeated.
Help me, Robert the Bruce. You're my only
They're
hope.
about to lose a control point.
What's up, YeshGamers? Robert the Bruce here, throwing down a little bit of that hot A280C action. Now, I think the easiest way to summarize the A280C is that it's the faster but less powerful little brother to the E11. Now, the main differences between these two guns is that the A280C fires a lot faster and heats up slower, while the E11 simply does much more damage. Otherwise, these are both very capable blaster rifles that are good choices as all-around types of weapons. They can do some long-range work and are capable up close, but they're not necessarily the best in either of those situations. Now, the E11 technically has a slightly faster time to kill in close-quarters battle compared to the A280C, but it's pretty negligible. For all intents and purposes, these rifles can do about the same amount of work. The difference boils down to how they operate. So the question you have to ask yourself is, do you like a rifle that packs a little more punch but fires slower, or a weapon that deals less damage but has a wicked fire rate? The other question you have to ask is, if two vegans are fighting with each other, does that mean they have beef? Moving on, my personal preference probably leans a little more towards the handling of the E11, but I didn't feel like I was at a disadvantage any time I was using the A280C. It can help to identify the type of player you are as well as what your strengths and weaknesses might be. If you can admit to yourself that you maybe don't have the greatest aim in the world, well, that might be a reason the A280C might be a better option. It's firing more shots, so you have a better chance of hits landing. Now, let me be clear, that does not mean that the A280C is an inferior weapon, or that anyone using it is some kind of scrub who can't hack it with different guns. It was simply an example of one reason you might choose to go with it. Now, because the A280C does less damage per shot, you want to make sure you're taking your time and properly leading the enemy when trying to take somebody down at longer range. You need more of your shots to hit, so lead the bad guy, and while firing, use the trail of your shots as indicators for how much you need to adjust your aim. When in doubt, if an enemy is running perpendicular to me, a pretty good ways off, I like to start off just by leading them by about 2 body widths, and then make slight adjustments as necessary. I found that gives a good percentage for shots landing. Now, when it comes to class setup with the A280C, it's kind of like a huge buffet, because you have tons of options. Since it's a good all-around weapon, there's not really one specific big shortcoming that you have to try to overcome with your star cards. My biggest piece of advice here is just be willing to change your setup based on the map and game mode. The same loadout that works well on Blast may not work well on Turning Point. Now, since this weapon is versatile, spend more time making sure your card setup fits what you're playing. The A280C is kind of like a good pair of jeans. They just work in a lot of situations. Well, the star cards are more like your shoes, so take some time to actually consider what your loadout is best suited for, because you don't want to end up at a marathon wearing flip-flops. So, I leave you with 2 extremely important questions. First, what game modes have you had really good success using the A280C in? And second, if a red-headed guy works at a bakery, does that make him a gingerbread man? Thanks so much for watching. As always, I'll see you on the battlefield.